as well this time round. Aditi Nayar, who's the chief economist at ICRA, joins in now to discuss this data point. Aditi, what is your first take? 0.9% negative is where the WPI data has come in.
Hi, good afternoon. We had actually forecast the WPI to be negative 0.5%. It's a little bit of a deeper deflation than what we had penciled in. But broadly, I think this is a trend that will continue over the next few months. We're sitting on a very, very high base of commodity prices, and looking at where things are right now, we do expect that the WPI inflation will temporarily be in a deflation mode, and then it will be still very low single-digit WPI inflation in the months ahead. And for the year as a whole, we're looking at a 2 to 3% WPI inflation average only.
Right. Aditi, how much of your model takes into account the WPI when you look for CPI going forward? And at the same time, now that this number is 0.93, assuming CPI reduces further, should we believe that all rate hikes are off the table for this year, and at the same time we can look at some rate cuts? If yes, by when?
My personal view is that the WPI does not transmit that quickly into the CPI for a couple of reasons. Firstly, CPI on the goods side is finished product, whereas the WPI is much more dominated by inputs. And secondly, the CPI has a large chunk of services, and the transmission from things like commodity prices to services takes a very long time. So the quickest transmission that we see typically from WPI to the CPI is on the food side. So whatever we get to see the cues from the WPI on the food side, that is most meaningful for the CPI. Having said that, we've gone from unseasonably low temperatures into a full-blown summer very, very quickly between April and May. So there may not be so much of a sort of leading effect from the WPI in April to the CPI trends in May on the food side as well. So I would be a little bit cautious, but at this point I would say that the CPI inflation is likely to remain range-bound. As the base effect goes away on the CPI side, we are expecting that the prints may not be as benign in some of the coming months. And certainly as far as rate action is concerned, we think that there will be a pause in June. Unlikely that we may open for more rate hikes, but rate cuts seem to be pretty far away.
Okay, but it'll be a prolonged pause is what I'm assuming that you're factoring in.
Yes, we are looking at a prolonged pause at this point in time.
Okay, Aditi, just wanted your thoughts with regards to the food inflation data, because that was the key parameter that softened in CPI, and we're just waiting by for the food data when it comes to WPI. But nonetheless, what is your trajectory which you're estimating on food going forward?
See, on food inflation, like I said, firstly, the first factor is that we've gone from unseasonally low temperatures to a normal summer. So that will have an impact on the perishables. Once the monsoon starts, over the next, hopefully 2 weeks, before the MPC review, at least we'll know how the onset of the monsoon was.
So just to add in, we've got the food inflation, which is coming at 0.17%, which is versus over 2%.
Right. So April, we would have had the positive impact of the low temperatures on the perishable prices particularly. Now, early monsoon, if it's normal, which is broadly what the IMD is expecting, then that should be good for sowing. And then if an El Nino develops in the second half of the monsoon season, that could have an impact on yields going ahead. So I would say that we are still going to be in a reasonable situation as far as the food inflation is concerned over the next couple of months. And hopefully only by the second half of the monsoon season, we'll start to see some of the negative impact of a potential El Nino, which could then have a negative impact on the food inflation.
All right. Thanks a lot, Aditi, for joining in and giving us your views on food inflation as well as inflation on the whole, saying that there could be a prolonged pause by the RBI, but rate cuts still some time away.